I can't believe I read the whole thing. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I wanted to talk about something, and this came as just me having a conversation with Andrew, actually, just about authors who I plan to read the full catalog of. And I realized, I'm like, that actually sounds like a fun video to do and to talk about. And so that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to talk about authors that I intend to read basically everything that they've ever written, and how far I am and how much more that I have to go with that. And the first one I have to bring up, because there is at least one that I'm pretty well done with, and that author is, of course, Janny Wirtz. I have my Janny Wirtz shelf behind me with The Wars of Light and Shadow, as well as To Ride Hell's Chasm is up there, and her short collection, That Way Lies Camelot, and Master of Whitestorm. And then I've also read Cycle of Fire trilogy and Sorcerer's Legacy, and so all of her solo stuff I have read. Now, I do have, which I will be at least remedying, at least starting soon, the Empire trilogy that she did with Raymond Feist. I still need to read this, and I've been really excited to read this, and I liked the first Rift 4 trilogy. I just wanted to read all of her solo stuff first, and she was an author that I just knew that I wanted to read all of her stuff, so I did Wars of Light and Shadow, I did all the rest of the stuff, and the one author that I am technically done with her solo stuff, I'll still be reading Empire, I'll be doing Daughter, actually, before the end of the year, so I'm excited to finally get to that. But the one author, at least I can say that, hey, I have read this whole thing, and so it's not completely every single author that I still need to get to, but that's kind of the starting point. Now, I'm going to be talking about the rest of these in no particular order for like progress or number of books, but we'll just talk and we'll see how many books do they have, how many I have, and we'll talk through there with each one. So first up, we have Guy Gavriel Kay. And this is all minus Sailing to Sarantium, which I don't actually have a copy of. All of the Guy Gavriel Kay that I have read, which is an unfortunate amount of Guy Gavriel Kay, because it makes me really sad that I don't have that much Kay left, because I'm going to be really sad when I finish Kay. I think that's the other reason, to be perfectly honest, why it's taken me so long to do the Empire trilogy, because while it's not solo Wirtz, it's still Wirtz. And so I'm like, really want to read it, but also I'll be sad when it's all out, until she at least publishes her new stuff. And the K that I have left includes the Fiona of Our Tapestry. This is all 3 in 1. Isabel, which is also connected to that. And then I have Under Heaven, and then Last Light of the Sun and River of Stars, which I could have sworn I had copies of. I could not find, so I must not. We'll need to get copies of those. But I think River of Stars is connected to one of these other ones, and then Last Light of the Sun, I think, is the last of the actual history alternate ones, and so I am still really excited to get to that one, and that I think is going to be the next one that I do, specifically. But I'm excited to get to. Oh, and there's, I suppose I had it in the wrong stack, actually. I just realized I had Dagana in this red stick. I've not read Dagana yet. I've been kind of nervous to read Dagana because of things I've heard about it. So that one also I might save until kind of later toward the end. But I imagine I'm still going to enjoy it because it's K. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is the Fiona of Our Tapestry, because that's super different from the rest of his stuff. But I still absolutely plan to read that as well. So all in all, though, I am about halfway. There are 16 books in total, counting the Fiona of Our Tapestry as individual books. I have read 8 out of 16 of his books, and so halfway I feel like is pretty good. Definitely making some progress, although I still have a fair few to go. The next up, we have another one of my favorite authors, Tad Williams. And Tad Williams, you can see he's got a shelf up here, and it cuts off a little bit. But of course, you have Memory of Sorrow and Thorn, those first 3 books, and then the sequel series, The Last King of Osten Ard, all of which I absolutely fantastically loved. I have also read Shadow March, which is just off screen, but that's the first here. As well. And then I read the first of the Bobby Dollar books. So I still have the rest of the Bobby Dollar books to get to. I'm actually reading Happy Hour in Hell now. Still not my thing, but it's Tad Williams, so I'm giving it a shot. And then the Shadow March series, I struggled a bit with that first book, so I've been waiting to get back to that, but still absolutely plan to. And then I don't have copies, other than I think I have a mass market paperback copy somewhere, but of Otherland, because there is Otherland. There's the 4 books there, with City of Golden Shadow, River of Blue Fire, Mountain of Black Glass, and Sea of Silver Light. So those I still need to get to. And then Caliban's Hour, one of his earlier books after Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And I don't know a whole lot about that one, but that one I still need to get to as well. So overall, though, for my Tad Williams books, there's 21 total that I have on my list, and I have read 10 of them. So again, about halfway, not quite halfway, but once I finish Happy Hour at Hell, that'll be halfway. Once I finish out that series 2, I'll only have 2 bigger series to get through, and then it is standalones. So I feel like that's pretty good overall progress with Tad Williams. Another author that I'm really excited to, even like I joke Bobby Dollar, not really my thing. Shadow March, I had a little bit of a rough start with, but is one of those authors that has so much goodwill because I've loved his stuff so much that I very much am looking forward to continuing and reading it all anyway. Then for the next author, I definitely do drop below half, but in my defense, they have 29 books, so that's a pretty big catalog to get through. That is, of course, David Gemmell, and here's my red pile of David Gemmell, which is a little bit bigger than this. This is mostly Draenei, Dark Moon in there, Knights of Dark Renown, which is like Draenei adjacent technically. And I have read all of the Draenei books, which there are 11 of those. Knights of Dark Renown, 12, and Dark Moon gets me to 13. So again, not quite half, not that far off though. Another few books in, and then I will get there. I've been planning to do Morningstar, which is the other sort of like Draenei adjacent, like way before type of book next. We'll have to see on that, but ones I have left do include the Brigante, these 4 books here, which is probably what I will do after I do Morningstar, because I've been really excited to get to those. And then the Troy trilogy, he has these 3 at the bottom here. So that's another 7 books there as well. Morningstar would be 8, so that'll get me pretty close. He then does have a few other series and miscellaneous books as well, including the Stones of Power books, and then the Jerusalem Man series, I think it's called, which is like I think Wolf and Shadow, and that one's more like Flintlock and that kind of thing. So some other miscellaneous ones, and I have actually at least one of those books that I didn't get out. That's not over here, but that I do have a physical copy as well. But again, an author that I plan to read all of his stuff. Draenei especially, I really loved that series. I loved all of those books and the other ones I've read. David Gemmell's one of those authors that I want to be in the mood to read a Gemmell because he has a very distinct style, but I am never disappointed when I do at all with reading his stuff. And so very excited as well to continue on and read more David Gemmell. Next up, we have another author who, believe it or not, also has 29 books on my list. And that's also not including their like young adult series, because I think there's a couple of authors on this list who have like stuff that was for a different market that I'm not including. But still, even without that series, 29 books. So again, one I have a long way to go to, and I'm a little bit less. I'm not even quite half there. But that author is Kate Elliott, another one of my favorite authors who I did just recently have on the channel as well. If you want to hear me talk there, I've actually Tad Williams got to talk to on the channel as well, and hopefully we'll have back. So amazing getting to talk to some of my favorite authors. David Gemmell, that one wouldn't be possible without like a seance, so I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, you never know. But anyway, of course, you all heard me talk about Crown of Stars a million times. It's one of my favorite series. That is 7 books. And then her newest ones, The Witch Roads and The Nameless Land, is a duology, which I've read. And then her 2 novellas, she has The Servant Mage and The Keeper's 6. Which I forgot to get down to, but it's up there. So I have read those ones, but I still have a lot of Kate Elliott to get to. And Kate Elliott is, I think, one of the authors that I'm most excited to continue on through her backlog because there's just so much of it that I really am excited to get to. So that includes her first published book, which was under Alice Rasmussen, The Labyrinth Gate. And then she did have the High Road trilogy as well, which both sci-fi. And then the Drawn books, also sci-fi. There are 4 books that are out there, and I will be reading Drawn, the first one, in 2026. I'm really excited. That's one I've just been curious about for a long time. And then on the fantasy side, there are some other series, including the Spirit Walker trilogy, which I don't have a matching set of at this time, but Cold Magic, Cold Steel, and Cold Fire, which I'm really curious on just from learning a bit about there. And I did read, I think, a short story set in that world at one point. And then the Crossroads trilogy, which includes Spirit Gate, Shadow Gate, which I don't have a copy of at this time, and Trader's Gate. For some reason, trying to get a copy of that in a matching hardcover, I just had a heck of a time. So I still don't have one, but I will at some point get one. So still those. And then she also does have her current ongoing series, the Sun series, that starts with Unconquerable Sun, which from talking to her too, I am super curious on, just because it's space opera, but it's like the premise is it's gender flipped Alexander the Great in space, and that just sounds really really interesting, and I'm curious to read. And then of course there's also Black Wolves, which just has the one book right now, and as we talked about, possibly could have additional books later, but not under contract. But so still included there because I still absolutely will be reading that one. And yeah, I'm excited to get to all of these. I'd been prioritizing the fantasy ones, and I still will kind of do that, but I'm really curious to try out her sci-fi as well. And so I will be reading Drawn, like I said, soon. And then I'll have to see which other ones I jump into, because the more I've talked to her, the more I'm like, I just want to read all of this stuff, and I don't know what to go to next. But there'll be more Kate Elliott. You will absolutely be hearing me continue to talk about Kate Elliott. So never fear that at all. And then last but not least, because don't make me rank these authors, I love all of them that I've talked about here today. But the other author where I just really know that I do want to read the rest of their stuff is Stephen R. Donaldson, and he also has some prime real estate here. You'll notice I tend to put authors that I really love tend to get prime real estate for the most part. If I had hardcovers of Guy Gavin Okay, you betcha he would be up here, but I mostly have like a hodgepodge collection. So if you have a set of Guy Gavin Okay hardcovers, hit me up. Um, but Stephen R. Donaldson, and of course the first Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, which was the first thing I read from Donaldson, and something that just it took me a bit to get into, but really blew me away, and just something that I ended up really really loving and appreciating the trilogy. Second Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, which I have also read, and again were just really really phenomenal, and something that again, it's a series. His stuff is challenging, but it's just so good. And then Morden's Need, this duology here, which is really just one gigantic book technically in 4 parts, even though it's a duology, and again, challenging, very Donaldson, but super good. And then up there too, I have the first book, The Real Story, the first Gap Cycle book. I do have the other 4 to get to, and then I have Reeve the Just and Other Tales, which I've started but not finished. And then he's got another one, Daughter of Regals. It's just another short story collection, which I do plan to read, so I'm keeping on the list. I didn't include everybody's short works, but I am planning to read his. He's got a few less books than some of the other authors I've talked about, so I feel like it's fine to get that. So I have the other 4 Gap books. I do have, this is the only one that has sort of a caveat, because there are the last Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, and I've heard really mixed things about those, and so I've been on the fence on whether or not I'm going to read them. Quite honestly, I don't see any way that I don't read them, but I might just save them for last, and I don't know. I always debate on that, because I'm like, do I save them for last? Then what if I'm disappointed and it leaves a sour taste in my mouth? But I have a feeling once I read all of his other stuff, I'm just not going to be able to help myself. I'm going to have to try them, so we'll give that a shot. And then I have his newest series, which I've heard literally no one talk about, The Great God's War, which is Seven Death Cement and The War Within, and then The Killing God. Just now realizing as I went to get these that apparently I have the UK Gollins hardcover for book 3 and the Berkeley versions of the first 2, and they look a little bit different because these are glossy and obviously a different logo, but never realized that before. So apparently I have different versions. So maybe I'll have to get a matching set at some point there. But yeah, that one actually, I think the Seventh Testament might have been the first Donaldson book I owned, because I just found that randomly super cheap. And grabbed that, but then I ended up reading Thomas Covenant first, and so I'm really excited to read those. I've never really heard anybody talk about them, but they're Donaldson books, and so I think they're going to end up working for me, because he just typically has as an author. So there, I'm doing I feel like pretty decently. I am 10 out of 23 for him, so still not quite half. Again, it's cool though that I didn't realize I was at least half or almost halfway through all of these, which means I am making progress, even though there's a lot to get through. But these are just those authors that the more of their books I read, the more sure I am that I want to read all of their stuff. There's plenty of other authors that I'm really interested to read more of and try their other stuff, but these are just those authors for me that I absolutely have loved. They're some of my absolute favorite authors, and I just know I can't get enough. I got to read everything they have, and then I'll probably still want more after that. And so I am curious what your authors are. If you have authors in there where either you have read all of their catalog of work, or if you have other authors that you are just kind of like I talked about, that you really just want to read everything that they've written, I would be curious to know, and maybe you'll give me some that'll end up on my list here as well. But definitely let me know in the comments. Would love to hear from you. That's it for this one, though. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the links in the description, as always, for the Patreon if you want to support what I do, as well as the Wizard of the Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of these books, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.